Hi, I'm Kristi Walker, and I have been a missionary here at Crossway International Baptist Church in Berlin, Germany for the last almost 16 years. I came over with just a willingness basically to do whatever God wanted to do with me here in Berlin, and didn't really know for sure what that would be specifically. And it turned out that this church, which was about 2 years old at the time, what they needed was a director of youth ministry, student ministry, and so I stepped into that role and have been doing that ever since, and have gotten to see many, many students and kids and teens come to know Jesus Christ as Savior over the years. It has just been an honor and a blessing. When I first started thinking about missions and praying and telling God that I was willing to be a missionary, I started looking at the globe as a whole and wondering, where might God lead me? And I ended up taking German in high school for 4 years, and at the time, not really connecting the dots and understanding that may be exactly where God is leading. And took German in high school because I knew at the time that my ancestry was German, but that's all I knew. Later on, just kind of started to explore that whole topic of ancestry more and tried to figure out where in Germany was my family from. And through using resources like Ancestry.com, was able to figure out that on the US Census reports, my family kept listing Berlin, the city, as the place where they originated from. And so when God later called me to Berlin and to work for an international church here in Berlin, it was just a surreal experience to know that God was calling me back to a place that my family was originally from. And I am here now some 150 years later. Then that's been a wonderful highlight, just to figure that out and realize in some ways these are my people and God has called me back to work and minister amongst the Germans. Hebrews 13:8 says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. I am rejoicing in the fact that God is immutable. He doesn't change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Because lately there have been so many changes and transitions here in Berlin. As I mentioned, I've been serving in Berlin for going on 16 years. For the first 14 years, very little changed. The church planting team I worked with remained consistent, as did my role as the director of student ministries at Crossway. Our church is very transient, so people came and went, but overall I wasn't forced to deal with too many big changes. And then God gave us a German pastor. And what a wonderful gift Martin Schmill and his family have been to Crossway and to me personally. Shortly after that, God called one of the original missionary families on our team home to the States after serving in Berlin since Crossway's beginning. Since then, my new teammate, Patrick Tain, arrived in May. My teammates, who are also the founding pastor and wife of Crossway, the Dyes, left for a year in June. Interns, missions teams, friends, and family have come and gone. Many hours have been spent at Berlin's airports saying hello and goodbye, and there's no end in sight. Despite the many comings and goings, though, it's the people who make this ministry so incredible. God is sending both short-term and long-term laborers into his harvest field. People are coming to Christ and being baptized. 3 were baptized in June. 1 this past weekend, here in September. At least 4 teens indicated that they prayed to receive Christ at our teen camp this summer, and several children at our day camp had serious faith conversations with their leaders and received Bibles. Students who came to faith in our youth group over the last few years are now leading others to Christ. The list goes on and on. God never changes, but he is constantly changing people. The unique opportunity about Berlin is the darkness. And I cannot stress enough to people watching this video or listening to this that is the most fulfilling thing you can do with your life, is place yourself in a spiritually dark place and shine. Shine your light for Jesus. The Bible encourages us not to hide our light under a bushel, but to let it shine. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither should our light for Christ be hidden in any way. Another thing that has been changing or will be changing soon is There has been a young man on our team for the last almost 2 years named Caleb Curtis. God brought Caleb over to replace me when I had to go back to the States for a year of furlough. Caleb has been an integral part of our team. God has used him in so many ways over here, but his 2 years is now very soon coming to an end. And I mention that to say that we are greatly praying that God would bring others like him to Berlin to help fill some of the holes that are here in ministry. I am getting older. I've been doing youth ministry here in Berlin for, again, going on 16 years. And I would love to replace myself in the role of Director of Student Ministries here, or just see many, many young people come and get their feet wet in intern positions as I get to then lead them through an internship here in Berlin. I just challenge you to consider also, how can you be a part of missions? How can you be a part of fulfilling the Great Commission? I challenge you to consider, how can you be a light for Christ, either right where you are, or perhaps you actually need to leave, as I did, and go somewhere that actually needs your light even more. I talk to people all the time who are convinced that they're supposed to stay right where they are. But is it possible that God is calling you out? How is God asking you to give your life to the Great Commission?